Good morning, Dr. Corkum.
Good morning.
So just how much sleep do kids need?
Well, if we're going to talk about school-age children, and I know that's kind of the top of everybody's mind with school starting today, school-age children need around 9 to 11 hours, and we say, generally around 10 hours, but it really depends on the child. One way to really find out is to see how long they sleep and they don't have to get up. So, over a few days, let them sleep in, see how long they sleep and how they feel. So you want to have that amount of sleep and feel good during the day. Wake up without an alarm.
Right, because this first day back can be a bit of a jolt to the system for some, perhaps of those teenagers in particular. So what should parents and families have been doing over the past week or so maybe to prepare for today?
It is nice to have the opportunity to prepare for getting back on schedule, and especially for sleep, because it does take some time to readjust. So if children were staying up later than usual, sleeping in later, it takes time to adjust. So I think about it like if you traveled. Let's say this weekend you went to Spain and back, you wouldn't really wake up the next day on time feeling good. You need some adjustment. And children need the same coming back from summer vacation. So it's a bit like time lag or jet lag.
Right.
You have to readjust. So what we suggest is slowly, in maybe 15 or 20-minute increments, backing down to the time that you want your child to sleep. Go to sleep and wake up, but not to do it too abruptly.
So if we didn't do that, what do we do now?
Should be fun. Yeah, so, again, I guess just work towards that goal over the first week. Try to just don't expect that your child's going to fall asleep when you put them in bed at the regular time or the new time, because their bodies are not adjusted to it. So we can do some things to help. So definitely having a really strong wind-down routine that you move more towards the darkness kind of lets melatonin release in our brain. And melatonin is the hormone of sleep, and we need that to fall asleep. So start moving your child towards darker areas earlier in the evening to help build that melatonin so that they can fall asleep more readily. So darkness in the house, so moving towards, maybe spending time in the bedroom with the lights out, but definitely no electronics, because that light can be quite, it can actually suppress the release of melatonin, so that hormone that helps us sleep wouldn't be there and available to help us fall asleep.
What is the reality when it comes to Canadian young people and real sleep disorders like insomnia?
So worldwide, or at least in the more industrial countries with lots of light and electronics, about 20 to 30% of children actually meet criteria for insomnia. So difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking too early, which is really high, especially since we know that it has such negative impacts on daytime functioning. So children with insomnia often have weaker attention, are more emotional, have more behavioral and social challenges. So it's so important to get a good night's sleep, yet, a third of our children are really not doing that.
And what can the spillover be for the entire family when that's happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, tired children have tired parents, and tired parents could be the same, right? So, same as their children, more irritable and more cranky. So I think it really develops this kind of vicious cycle where the parent is tired and their parenting is going to be less than they would like it to be, because they're tired and they're emotional and they're irritable. So they're going to respond in maybe more negative ways, and then the child responds more negatively. So we see a lot more behavioral problems in the home when children are tired and parents are tired.
And we've heard that teenagers have different internal body clocks and they might need more sleep. And some schools, I know, have even experimented or switched to a later start time for school. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. I mean, so there is a biological drive that happens during adolescence where they do need more sleep. So they do need that 9 hours. They're not adults who can probably function on 7 or 8 hours. Adolescents really do need, on average, 9, and they often don't get it. So they can be very tired. This affects their school performance, their performance in sports, and socially, etc. So a lot of schools across North America have experimented with later start times. It can be challenging because there's a lot of things you have to line up, busing schedules, and and other issues, but it really has shown to be quite an effective way of optimizing adolescents' performance in school.
Just as someone who works in this field, have you seen those sleep rates really? I mean, we hear about the rise of mental health issues, of anxiety around kids, and how does that then translate into, any kind of a rise in these sleeping disorders?
Yeah, and I think the question is the chicken or the egg, right? So our sleep problems may be triggering or at least contributing to the rise of mental health problems in children. And I think that there's growing evidence that that is the case, that children who are not sleeping well, they do start to have difficulties with their emotional regulation, their behavioral regulation, and this can definitely contribute to mental health problems. And there's even research in adults, which is really interesting, that shows that sleep problems might even predate depression, for example. So definitely sleep can be a foundation for healthy development.
Dr. Corkum, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.